Hi, I'm Doug Simon from DS Simon Media. I'm with Mike Fernandez, U.S. CEO of LLORENTE y CUENCA. Congratulations and thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. This is great.
Yeah, now this is a very special night. It's the New York book launch for Diverse Voices, featuring 40 of the top communications leaders who bring diversity to their organizations. Obviously, it wouldn't have been right to not have Mike Fernandez part of that. And you've had this issue of diversity and inclusion on your agenda in the industry for quite some time.
Well, you know, part of it is what I lived with. You know, I was the result of two different families who came here from elsewhere. And there weren't a lot of people in the profession with Z's at the end of their name when I started out.
Yeah, so tell us about some of the points you talked about in the book, about some of the obstacles you faced in the path that led you to be successful.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, in many ways I think we're kind of in the golden age today in the sense that the numbers have changed so dramatically that there are many more opportunities for young people who are diverse than maybe were back then. And so you'd hear things and you'd respond to things, and sometimes well and sometimes not so well. But what really spurred me along was my grandfather, you know, who had come to this country and believed that you got ahead by, you know, really knowing who you were, as well as asking good questions and trying to get smarter. And those two elements are what really fueled me.
Yeah, and I think for those of you out there, if you want to get smarter, definitely read the book Diverse Voices. It really cuts across every profession.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
There's just so many takeaways.
Well, you know, I think the two biggest takeaways are that oftentimes young people don't necessarily have that role model that looks like them or has lived a story that's kind of like them. And the book has that for people. And then it also has it for others who are managing diverse teams, who want to know how do they really instigate and act on their good intentions around diversity and inclusion. And this is a great book.
Yeah, and it's an important point you raise about, okay, maybe you've improved on recruiting diverse talent, but how do you create an environment where diverse talent can succeed?
Yeah, you really want to create an environment where everybody can thrive, where everybody can bring their whole selves to the office and be all they can be. And the only way that that's going to happen is when there's a clarion message from the top, and there are ways in which people can feel as though they belong. They belong to that location and they belong in that career.
Yeah. One interesting thing that I've seen that sort of troubles me both ways is the idea of multicultural agency. You know, is that almost pigeonholed? Clearly you need people of diversity, but do you need them diversity for all communications? Would it be better if we just had agencies rather than this sort of separate viewed as smaller piece of the pie that's multicultural?
Yeah, well, and I think that's true even on the client side, right? Because also what has tended to happen is when people approach things as a multicultural challenge, they created a separate budget, a separate small team, and when times got tight, guess what got cut? Right. So I think that it's an interesting thought, but I think fundamentally what we need to realize is that times have changed. And you know, when I was coming along as a baby boomer, we were, you know, people who are racially or ethnically diverse only accounted for about a quarter of the population. My kids who are millennials account, you know, their generation about 40% racially and ethnically diverse. And the Gen Zs who are in my classroom at Boston University, you know, they're part of a generation that's right at 50%. And so it's important for agencies, it's important for clients to think about how do you create communications that's culturally relevant. And that should come out of almost any agency, any company.
Right, interesting. Any final thoughts, advice for people who are, you know, starting their career as diverse talent to help them succeed?
Yeah, I think it's going back to what, you know, my grandfather told me. You know, it's realize or don't forget where you came from and never stop learning.
That's great, and I guess having good parents and grandparents and advice growing up, it's part of the process and continuing that in your career.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for spending time with us. Congratulations
thank
for
you.
featuring the book.
Yeah,
awesome.
good to see you.
Be well.
Learn more about the book by visiting diverseleadership.net.